Hey friends, welcome to this episode of Friend Fusion. Life is hard, right? We're faced with so many challenges day in and day out. But today I have a guest with me who teaches us that life is not inherently hard. We just need the tools. And I got another friend by the name of Sister Glorilla who says, at the end of the day gotta end. What that means to me is we gotta figure this thing out. And what's gonna happen is gonna happen, but we have a lot of control of what happens. And what we don't have control of, we don't. But today, listen, we're going to dive deep into what it means to really have mental health. Stay tuned for this episode of Friend Fusion.
Friend Fusion. Marker and action.
Hey friends, I'm Trinity Mitchell, better known as your friend Trin, and I, like every other episode, I'm so excited about this one. But what makes this one special is I found a like-minded individual. I'm sitting on the couch today, and I know y'all used to seeing me sitting on the couch, but it's different today. I'm getting the help that so many of us need. I'm not just getting it from me because no friends left behind, right? I want to introduce to some and present to others Raquel Hopkins. Say, hey friends. The capacity expert is in the building.
I am happy to be here.
Yes, I'm happy to have you here. How do you feel?
I feel good after that intro.
You know, I have not sat on the couch in a minute, so I'm trying to see, how do you start with your clients usually?
I follow your lead.
Okay.
Like, I don't psychoanalyze people and just assume that you got problems, you got issues, because we all got them, right?
What kind of problems can you tell I already got?
You seem very real to me, down to earth. I don't see any problems.
Okay.
Like, I always tell people, we don't have to try to heal ourselves from being human. Right?
Yeah, I'm sleepy.
So-
that's one of my issues. I'm sleepy.
Well, you look amazing.
Thank
you look great.
So do
always
you.
look great. You always
So
look
do
great.
you. Your skin is like, so I just, I'm a glam girly, right? And that's just what it is. But when you can be glam with no glam, girl, that's amazing.
And it's not because I think that I have good skin. Like, I'm starting to accept it because people are like, what's your skincare? And I'm like, water. And then I went to an event recently and they introduced me to the Fenty products. And I was like, oh, this is grown woman stuff. I'll get some of this. But when I came here, I was like, should I wear makeup? She's always so beat. Like,
Yeah.
how do you not? Because I could be a boy. In real life, I could be a boy.
We are definitely like-minded.
I could be a boy.
Yes.
So, yes, but you look awesome. I was like, I'll find the balance.
Yeah.
No makeup, and I'll put on some pink.
I love that you are sure of yourself and that you don't change because you're going into a different environment.
Yes.
I think a lot of us could, take note of that. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And sometimes you can start to question yourself like, well, they do this, but I don't know if I should. And you ain't got to do what they do because you're going to do something that they do.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I tell people, though, you're going to always be questioning yourself. Like, as life continues to change, like, that foundation of self-trust is so important. Like, being able to stay grounded within self. And I'm no different from it, right? I thought about it. I was like, I should get a makeup artist. And then I was like, I thought about it for like a week. Let me just be honest. I thought about it like a week. And then last night I was like, I ain't doing that.
Yeah.
I ain't doing that.
Yeah, and that's your business. Yeah, absolutely. And you're gorgeous. Let's be very clear.
You.
Yes,
Thank
absolutely. Your content has really stirred up a lot of conversation online, Raquel. You got the girls, you got the men, you got all of them in between, the animals and all, the trees upset with you, okay? And what I find to be most amazing about your approach to mental health is that you're not allowing us to be victims. But, a lot of times when you hear people speak, especially online from a advice standpoint, you get people telling us what we need to do and what we should do. What I get from you is how we can level up, how we can actually become better people, and the tools and the strategies to do that. What was it that made you say, I'm going to start creating content that challenges people to see themselves?
Let me give you the long story.
Okay.
Okay. So I was telling you that my background is not in, I didn't start off in mental health, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I come from the HR space. And in 2019, I was working as VP in HR. And I was like, successful on paper, but something is missing. So I was looking for fulfillment. So I went to this coaching program. I went to the coaching program. I absolutely loved it. I've always been good with people, which is how I ended up in the HR space. So when I got into this coaching program, I was like, I love it. I don't see myself going back in HR. Let me figure something out. So I always tell people that I have educrastination. Whenever I can't figure out my life, I'll go back to school. So I went back and I go get this second master's in clinical and mental health counseling. And when I got into the program, I was like, what is this? And just Black girl, I've been coping all of my life. So when I get into this program and it's like sophisticated ways of coping, I'm like, this is not going to help me. I already know how to do this. So for me, you know, when we're having conversations about boundaries, right? Boundaries are because I said so.
Yeah.
Like, my mama been saying that since I was a kid, right? So I think that it was just presented differently. So when I got into the program, I struggled for a lot of different reasons. And some of it was probably because I didn't go the traditional route from your bachelor's into your master's. I came in with life experience, already like a critical thinking. So as I started to dig more into the content, I'm like, we don't understand mental health. And if you don't understand mental health, you can't truly change it. So as I'm digging further and further into the content, I see optimization. I'm like, optimization. All right. So if mental health is about optimizing, why are we all protecting it or protecting our peace? So I continue to dig further and further. And I won't get into like how academia is now teaching mental health because I don't really know what that is about. But it started from there, and then I didn't say anything for a few years because it's like imposter syndrome. You're new to this industry. Who do you think you are to be able to come out and challenge the way that things are being presented? And then the other thing was it was being sensitive about, we have all of this awareness around mental health. Don't just come out to be a disruptor just to be a disruptor, right? Because I didn't want people to think that I was saying, don't go to therapy. So a lot of fear was there. But I also have my own coaching business. And one of the things I had realized was I was getting a lot of clients that were like, I've been in therapy for 5 years and something still feels like it's missing. I had gotten into adult development because I felt like what they were teaching in the program just wasn't efficient enough for me. So I started using it with my clients and I started going back to the basics of human development. And I started seeing it, like my approach working. And people are like, you have something. And I'm like, I don't really think so.
Yeah.
And then I went on this podcast last year and she was like, you need to share. And I was like, share what? Like, to me, this is common sense. And she was like, it's not common sense. And I was like, okay. So I started creating content from that perspective, not necessarily to go viral, but I was like, you need to understand what mental health is. And as a Black woman, I was like, it's really important because so many people have paved the way for us, and to lose your sense of resiliency because we feel like we're missing out on something by not talking about our feelings and or our emotions, that you can take 30 steps forward and take 40 steps backwards. Like if we don't understand mental health. And as I went into these other spaces and I started to understand other people understood mental health in a different way, I was like, it's time to speak. And that changed it for me.
Thank you for being a disruptor.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, because I really do feel like your voice is so valuable and necessary, and it's challenging all of us to look in the mirror a bit more. And I don't think that's a bad thing. Um, for me, of course, this is friend fusion, so we talk about all the things friendship, right? And when I think about my experiences in friendship, good and bad, but particularly bad, when I think about my failures at friendship and relationship in general, I think about immediately how whatever happened, I immediately took the role of the victim, right? And it wasn't until I changed that mentality where I was able to thrive, not just in life, but in my relationships. You know, I started to actually see that maybe I contributed to this, or maybe I could have handled that differently, or maybe I should have approached that differently. But that wasn't because I was reading a particular book. It was really conviction from the Holy Spirit. It was conviction. Like, if you keep having, like, you're repeating a cycle where you had this kind of issue with a friend, and you had this kind of issue with this kind of person and this kind of person. At some point, you have got to realize that you may just be the culprit. Like, you're the only common factor, you know?
Yeah.
And so allowing God to, like, for me in my journey, just allowing God to strip me of some of my hardcore beliefs. I was very judgmental.
Yeah.
I grew up a Church of God in Christ. So what I believe is what I believe. Like, we have a theme song that says, you can't join in, you got to be born in. And I really feel like that kind of shaped, that belief kind of shaped my identity in terms of, you can't change my mind.
Yeah.
I said what I said. This is what it is. This is the way it goes. You going to hell. I mean, I used to be like that. And so when I think about it, it's so crazy how God is just refined me.
Yeah.
It's just so crazy. So I'm really grateful for the transformation that he's done for me. But it's so great to see other people in the space, not because I'm not in the therapy industry at all, but it's so great to see other people be disruptors. Say, like, we got to look at this differently, guys. This is actually to empower us, not to make
to
us
tear you
inferior.
down or make you feel inferior.
Yeah.
I want to address the victimhood because I saw a comment yesterday and they were like, you might want to check your biases with victimhood, right? And I took the time to explain it because these are small clips, right? When I say victimhood, I'm not just saying that you don't take charge of your life or that life is not hard.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is that language matters. You have to create space to be a victim because that would be your way of experiencing a wide range of emotions. If you never played victim, you wouldn't know what it's like to be sad. You wouldn't know what it's like to feel depressed. So I'm not anti-victimhood. I am anti-staying in victimhood for too long that does not challenge you becoming the better version of yourself. If that's something that you're interested in.
Yes.
And that's why I say I'm not for everybody because you can decide that you want to settle with and how life is, right? But if you want to continue to pursue whatever that better version of yourself is, have impact, you're thinking about your legacy, I think that my content caters to those people more. Because, you know, we talk often about like, stop moving the goalposts, but life is still presenting opportunities daily. Do you want to lean in or do you not? And I think that that's so important. And then a lot of it, you know, when you're talking to mental health professionals or people have to remember that a lot of what we speak from comes from our beliefs. And I think for whatever reason, people think that it's coming from a textbook. No, you are, when you ask questions, it's not because you saw a question in a textbook. A lot of it comes from like your being, your sense of self.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to know that, like when you're talking to people, because if people are defined by their own limitations or they haven't had certain exposures, their level of questioning and thinking will derive straight from that.
Absolutely.
And I realized that I don't, this sounds very egotistic, and I try not to, but I do have expansive thinking, and I lean more into it. And I think that the fruit of my life and the fruit represents that. Like God talks about renewing your mind all the time, and to me, showing up in the way that I do is me not conforming to the ways of the world and actually renewing my mind. So I may not quote scripture, but I know it. So I don't pay the people any mind.
Yeah.
So.
I love that you brought up how the things that we were introduced to in our childhood shapes our perspective, because that goes back to me, like in terms of relationship. I used to be so prideful. Even thinking about the number one of the first songs I learned is that you can't be born in, you can't join in, you got to be born in, right? It shapes this sense of pride where you're always the one right. I was very self-righteous. So that we don't even consider that, like, whatever you were exposed to first. Maybe it was your mom who was extremely prideful, or your dad who was stubborn, or you can't tell him anything, he knows it all, or people who see correction as attack immediately or whatever. A lot of times we it's not even just about learning things in adulthood, it's about unlearning things. And so I think for me, mental health is, for me, I would say mental health for me is unlearning things. Yeah.
So I did a video on unlearning, right? Because, and I don't think that this applies to you because you can tell that you're actively choosing. But when we use the term unlearning, for example, right? Oftentimes it's when we're still trying to figure things out. I don't think that life is so much about unlearning stuff. I think it's about choosing, because life is always presenting these opportunities to say, all right, let me see if I can challenge Trinity to stop being so judgmental. You don't necessarily have to unlearn being unjudgmental. You have to choose that I no longer want to show up in this manner. And then before you know it, the transformation starts to happen. So it's not that you want to unlearn it, because we want to appreciate all of the things that have shaped us. That's part of saying, I trust my journey. I trust the journey that God has me on. I trust that the way that I've been shaped in terms of these beliefs, it grounds me in my faith, right? So I think that those are all great things. So it's not that you want to unlearn it. You want to learn how to use it in a way that continues to drive your impact. And the way to do that is to say, I'm going to choose to show up differently. Because I'm really big, like language really matters. Language drives everything that we do, and it is a direct reflection of your core beliefs. So when I hear unlearning, and this is probably like me going too much into faith, like I'm like, no, I trust I trust my path. And if I trust my path, I don't need to unlearn anything. I need to figure out how to take that and transform and evolve into something new.
I love that.
So
I love sitting on the couch with you. I want to sit on the couch with you more. That's good. That's really good stuff. As a licensed therapist, what are some terms or trends you see being thrown around too loosely in today's culture?
Your feelings matter.
Wait a minute. Your feelings matter.
I'm over that trend. I'm over that. I'm over that. I got a few. I'm over that. I'm over the boundaries. I'm over protect your peace, protect your mental health. I just think that it is a low level of operating and being. And let me say this, I'll preface this. We have seasons where those things are necessary, but I also think that there is a lot of selfishness and self-preservation. And maybe because I'm really big on like impact and legacy and just becoming like your best self. So if I go back to the feelings, right? We all know that feelings are not facts, right? And they're not facts.
They're not facts.
Why do we give so much weight and credit to our feelings? And the way that people use these feelings today is they weaponize them. Like, you literally have to tiptoe around because you just told me that you're sad and I'm having a great day. Do I supposed to be sad too?
Absolutely.
I can acknowledge that you're sad without having to take that on. And when people express their emotions, they don't realize that that's internal data for you. That's not direction
for me.
Yeah, that's not direction for me.
Right.
Like, I can acknowledge how you feel. And I think that that's the piece that people are missing. Like, no, you're not supposed to suppress how you feel. You can communicate how you feel to others, but you also have to understand that that information is not justification for you to react or get outside of character because people aren't behaving. I always say, when it comes to what I tell my clients that get overly consumed in their emotions, you're going to be driven by character or you're going to be driven by chaos, because your emotions, it's chaos. A lot of it is chaos.
It is.
And that's why, like, your values, understanding what your values are is important, because let's just say you and we're friends. I upset you. You decide that this isn't working out. You can communicate how you feel But hopefully you do it from the place of your values, your beliefs, what that's grounded in, and then you can still decide what you're going to do. If you do it from a place of chaos, that intent may not be received on the other end in terms of how you're wanting me to receive it, because the goal isn't to lose friends per se, even though that's a part of life as well. But if you're driven by your emotions, because they're always fleeting too, life feels very chaotic and you feel like the world is supposed to cater to you. And I don't think that that is reasonable.
And I don't think it's good for us to think that the world is going to cater to us, because it won't.
It won't.
The world will not ever cater to us. We've got to learn to adjust.
To navigate it.
Yeah, absolutely. One of your boldest statements was, not everything is trauma. Sometimes it's just a bad day. Why do you think that idea hit so hard?
Because we love labels, we love titles, we love identities today. And trauma is, I think that identity today is currency. So to be able to say that you have trauma, right, it creates a sense of community. If you and I sat here and bonded over an experience and we're like, oh, that was both traumatic for us. I think is, again, language matters. The thing that we don't talk about when we talk about trauma is not what happened to you. Trauma is your perception of what has happened to you, which is why you and I could be in the same place, same environment, and we walk away with two different perceptions, because it's not the event that occurred, it's your perception of it. And that's really hard for people to accept, because again, it's radical ownership and responsibility. Like, if I choose to stay in this trauma, then at some point you're choosing it because it's very subjective. So I think it forces people to think about the things that they're saying, because if your boss just gave I'll go back to friendship, right? I was friends with someone for the last 15 years, and my friend had a child, and now we're no longer friends. That was very traumatic for me, because she didn't understand that
I still needed her.
Yeah, that I still needed her. I mean, my question would be like, what would make it traumatic? Because did it destabilize you? Were you not able to continue to move on with your life? Are you struggling with making friends in the future because you now have these trust issues? Like, that's how we should be thinking about trauma. Or is it life has presented pain in a very painful way, and you're figuring out how to navigate that pain, because pain is inevitable. Like, we are bound to experience pain. Like, no one is exempt from it. And that's why I say we keep trying to heal ourselves from being human, and you just can't. Like, you just can't.
You can't heal yourself from being human.
You can't.
You're going to experience pain. That's a really good. Because sometimes we feel like we're not supposed to. You know what I mean? And it's just, it's not
all
reality.
In the name of mental health. That's what the industry has done. Like, you're supposed to have good mental health. I think that's what they're saying. I don't know, because I block all of that out. I won't follow people that present information that does not allow me to level up. Like, I like a good balance. Like, create space for me to hold those feelings that are difficult, but also create enough space to facilitate growth and change.
Absolutely. So what comes to mind when you hear the words, I'm protecting my peace?
First thing comes to my mind is life feels hard, it feels heavy, so I need to protect myself. I think that's normal. I think that when it becomes a definite or an absolute that you believe that you have to protect your peace, I don't think that you have peace. I think that peace is something that you embody, and if your peace is dependent upon the right circumstances, conditions in your environment, you don't have peace. So for me, it just doesn't resonate, like, which is why I say people have to have some type of spiritual grounding, because if you're protecting all the time, do you create space for something
to be
high?
protected?
Yeah, like,
yeah.
What happened to no weapon formed against me shall prosper? Like, so I think mental health is also a very spiritual thing, and that has been taken out of the conversation.
I've never heard anyone say mental health is a spiritual thing.
It is. Like, everything is connected. It's mind, body, soul, like everything is connected. You can't take that piece out. I don't care if you believe in Buddha, Hindu, like what.
Yeah.
You need something, because when life does start to get hard, what do you default to? And these statements, they all sound good, but if you're protecting your peace, again, it goes back to what we were just saying, like,
Right.
who's in control?
Yeah, who's in control?
Yeah, who's in control?
Yeah. And given given the fact that we don't do well when we're in control, you know what I mean? Like, can you think about how much chaos you created from trying to be in control, the relationships that have prematurely ended from you trying to be in control, the money you've missed, the opportunities you've missed from just trying to be in control. You know what I mean? That's good. And the fact that we're just not able to, like, we're not even created to be in control. We have autonomy over our lives. We have free will and choice.
Yes.
But we don't have, I'm like getting a
I see
revelation.
it. I see it.
Like, we don't have what it takes to be in control. And that's why sometimes we feel like so chaotic, because we're literally, it's a good reminder. I don't have to be in control. I don't have to protect my peace because I'm protected. You know what I mean?
You're protected. That's why, like, I mean, I won't say, I wouldn't,
Yeah.
I'll say it on an Instagram clip because I want you to, like, hear what I'm saying. But if I'm with a client, I focus more on, that's why I say capacity, right? I'm going to support you in navigating uncertainty, change, discomfort, responsibility, because those are the things that we're truly struggling with. You're not struggling because life is hard. Life is not inherently hard. Life becomes hard based off of how you approach it and you navigate it. And if you're not okay with uncertainty, discomfort, change, responsibility, then you're naturally going to protect things, because if we go back to friendships, right? There's a lot of discomfort based off of life changing all the time that may present itself. So you need to be okay with discomfort so that you're not always protecting and or retreating.
That's good. That's really good stuff. Tell me, since becoming a therapist, getting the language, all the things, how has that impacted you as a wife and as a mom?
It has made me a better person. It really has. I would say that I have been a very judgmental person too. I think I've become more empathetic. I think that parenting has become a little easier for me because I was trying to do like gentle parenting, whatever the heck that is. I'm more intentional in terms of how I parent, because I want to raise children that know how to navigate life, whether I'm here or not. So I'm more intentional from a wife standpoint. I think it's it has made me more in tune with understanding that everyone struggles with something, right? And if everyone struggles with something, it's not always about me as a woman, if that makes sense. Because it's easy to, as a wife, feel like, you do all of the things. I got to think about this. I got to think about this. I got to think about this. And, men move and operate in a different manner. So I would say having clients, because I've never been like, I just want to work with high achievers. I just want to work with women. I wanted to work with everybody, black, white, I don't care, dog, animal, because that facilitates my thinking. It challenges me to show up differently. And because of that, I don't take my role as wife and woman so seriously, so I can just show up as just me. So I think that has helped. Life is really good.
Yeah, I love that.
Life is really good.
Yes. Do you think having the language and the understanding of that language has made life better for you, has improved your life?
It has, because so there has been a season where I was like, no new friends, protect my peace, protect my mental health. And I think about it from a marital standpoint. Marriage is hard. Like, there are some seasons where it's like great, and then there are some seasons like, no, I don't want to do this. I don't know why I chose you. And if you subscribe to the mental health language that's being promoted, girl, ain't nobody gonna be married today. Like, or you're not gonna be married and happy. So it's going back, are you okay with discomfort? Are you okay with uncertainty? Like, or do you have a great deal of trust within self to be able to withstand the challenges that are gonna present itself during marriages, whether it's from a financial standpoint, how we think differently about raising children, like, you have to be okay with all of those things to some degree, because it's easy to walk away from stuff. It's so easy to walk away from stuff. And I think that understanding mental health and understanding that a meaningful life comes with discomfort, it just puts a lot of things back into perspective for me.
Yeah. Okay, this is Friend Fusion. So for the friends watching who may be navigating a friendship breakup or a strained friendship or a friendship that is, it's weird. Like we used to be real tight. You know what I mean? We used to be gang, and now I'm just trying to find my place because she's had a baby or he's moved away. And he has a best friend in the city that he's moved to. So, because I think men also have a lot of the same emotions that women do in terms of friendship, but they don't know how to actually express it.
They do.
Yes, absolutely. So, what is your advice to the friend, male or female, who may just be in a difficult season with friendship?
That's normal. That's the first thing that I would say. There's nothing abnormal about being in a difficult season with friends. I think that I'll go back to the emotional component of it. Acknowledge how you feel. Acknowledge how you feel so that you can pull yourself together enough to convey how you feel, in the sense of, I want you to know that I miss you. I want you to know that this is a difficult season for me because you moved or you just had children, and I don't feel like it's vulnerability. And a lot of people are not used or comfortable with the vulnerability, because it's like, you should know these things. Like, we assume you're an adult, you grown, you should know these things. But the truth is, everybody's navigating life just like
and
you
people
are.
aren't mind readers.
They're not. They're not. They're not. So I think it's important to acknowledge that it's normal. I tell you what comes up for me. So my best friend, we've been best friends since like second grade.
Wow, that's so beautiful.
We're still friends today. We done had some rough seasons though. I think about when she came to work for me. Baby, it was so hard. I wrote her up. And
this is Brandon? Brandon went right up his friend.
I will write. Are you sure? Because Brandon must believe in accountability. I really believe in accountability. Now, so I remember my daddy called me. He was like, that was foul. Like, you wrote your best friend? I'm like, yeah. And I stood on that, right? I stood on it because I'm like, listen up.
Right.
Now, I was not a good manager. So let me just say that. But I don't think what I was saying was wrong, but how I approached it. And she was just so upset, and I filed it. I put it in the file because this needs to be documented. I didn't just write it up so I can scare you. I'm like, I'm documenting it. And we didn't talk for a while. It was just weird. It was awkward. It's like, and I'm like, girl, you want to go? Because we used to go to Texas Roadhouse like after work. And she was like, nah, I'm good. I'm like, girl, that was work. Like, you need to like transition on the other side. And she didn't want to go. That was one. You could have never told me that we would have worked together. And that she would have been working under me. There was a lot of judgment there on my part, because honestly, I carried the mindset like it was sink or swim for me. It's sink or swim for you too. Like, you need to figure it out. And at some point, I did come back around and listen to her out of respect. Let me really hear what she's saying. And I think the community that you have is very important too, because I come from a family that we're really big on accountability. Like, they just say what it is. And my dad kept saying, you're wrong. And I'm like, I'm not wrong. So like, if they keep saying that you're wrong, listen. And she was like, you could have just talked to me. I still would have wrote her up, because that felt right to me and how I operate. But I could have handled it differently. I think I was a little too hard on her, but that was like an interesting period for us.
How did you guys navigate that? Like, how did you guys get back to, or maybe you never got back to, maybe you just evolved in a different direction. We propelled you forward, maybe?
It's respect.
Okay.
We respect each other.
That's good.
She respects my ways of thinking, and she knows that I'm really growth oriented. And I think that on that line, and I know her heart, right? Like, her heart has nothing to do with work. So you are able to come around, because I think sometimes we get so caught up in right and wrong, and I had to let down. She was wrong, I'm right. And that allowed us to be able to move forward. So I did end up acknowledging how I handled it. Probably wasn't the best way, but I was still honest about, I would write you up again. Like, because I believe that. And we didn't take it personal. And she still don't agree. Like, she believes you should not write your friend up.
Right.
And I do not believe in that. I would write my daddy up.
Let's be accountable. Yeah, absolutely.
Like,
yeah.
So, yes.
I worked under Brandon, and he would tell me that he would fire me.
And I don't see anything wrong with that. I don't see anything wrong with that. Absolutely. I don't, because
I didn't see anything wrong with it either, because I knew it was gonna be taken care of.
See?
He had a job.
See?
It's gonna be fine. I mean, sleeping in. I know you're gonna make sure my lights are on. I know you're gonna make sure I have water and food. So, honey, you fire me, whatever. Like, I'm supposed to be concerned. Like, why would I be concerned? Like,
the facts.
Make it make sense.
Facts. Facts.
What's the difference between trauma and drama? And how can you begin to tell the difference how can people begin to tell the difference in their own lives?
Trauma destabilizes you. Like, trauma says that this thing happened to me, and because I have not released the pain, it makes it difficult for me to show up in the most purest, authentic form of self. Drama is you're wrapped up in all of your emotions and your feelings. You're not willing to take a step back and say, what's right, what's wrong, what could I have done differently? You don't start to see people for human. Like, you have to sit back and think sometimes, like with my friend, for example, have I ever made a mistake? Were there times where somebody could have written me up, but they didn't? And when you can start to put yourself in other people's shoes and you can see how we're all interconnected, you can separate trauma versus the drama. Trauma destabilizes you. It's hard to function. It's hard to truly be present.
That's good. So do you currently have trauma or drama? Something for all of us to think about. Seriously. What happens when people stay stuck in labels rather than doing the work to heal?
It becomes an excuse for not truly healing. Yeah, I don't have any other words.
It becomes an excuse for not truly healing.
Yeah, that's it. I mean,
yeah.
I don't have any other words.
That's good. That's good. I don't think we need more words. I think all of us are just sitting with that right now. Yeah. Because I'm using the label, the excuse, because we hear a lot of excuses rather than labels because people don't really have language. They may use their diagnosis for a label, but like, for instance, my dad left me, so this is just the way I am. I can't stand this is just the way I am type of person. If I hear the words out of your mouth, I can't help it, or this is just the way I am, you can absolutely bet you would not have a relationship with me.
Oh, God. So that's why you and Brandon are married, because you have a high level of accountability, too.
Yes.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, that's why y'all are married.
I can't do that. Like, if you can't help it, who can?
Because
you ain't gonna wear me.
I think that there are some universal truths in life. One is you are responsible for your life. We could go and ask anybody.
Yes.
And we just start walking the streets of Atlanta right now. You say, who's responsible for your life? Most people will tell you.
I am.
Even kids, and they don't even know what it means. They would tell you the same thing. And I think, I often tell, so when it comes to childhood, your entire childhood can be traumatic, right? Because you have no power. You don't have autonomy. So as a therapist, I think it's very important to make sure that you don't get so caught up in childhood conversations, because people are leaning on your expertise and your guidance. Everything can be traumatic in childhood, or you can turn it into adverse challenges and or struggles, because you don't have no free will.
Power.
You don't have no power. And that's what trauma is. Like when you feel like you have no power, you can't respond. It's literally the definition of your back is up against the wall.
Yeah.
That's how most kids feel. I can't play my game? Okay.
Trauma.
No, see, because today is really bad for children, right? Like I saw on the news the other day, 3 siblings tried to kill their mom because she took the Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
But that goes to your feelings are valid, right? She probably parented for a while. Your feelings are valid. And then when she had to draw the line, boundaries, accountability, you don't know how to respond to it because you think that the world revolves around you. Absolutely. And a lot of that is being created, not just within children, within adults as well.
Absolutely. And let's just speak to us being adult children now, right? You have this culture where so many people are literally writing their parents away, like doing life without their parents. And I think depending on your situation, that is your business. You have that right. You are in control of your life, right? But there are so many people resentful at their parents because their parents let them do whatever they wanted to do. And they let them feel like they were in control. And so when they got into adulthood and into the world, they realized they weren't in control. And so now all of the things that they're experiencing, they see it as a result of how they were parented.
Isn't that crazy?
It's crazy. So I know everybody's screaming gentle parenting, and don't get me wrong, I am not opposed to the idea and the concept of gentle parenting, but you got me.
I think it's intentional. You have to be intentional about parenting.
I'm gonna say intentional because you got another thing coming up. You think BJ ain't gonna be? I'm sorry. If you think BJ ain't gonna be held accountable,
that's all it is.
Look,
I think the only thing that is just creating space for people to express themselves. But sometimes you also have to say, cut it off.
Yeah,
like.
It's
but
necessary.
you take other things into place, right? I have a 10-year-old, and I like to you now, and I do think that we were a little too hard. We probably went like old school, a little too hard. Baby, what I'm not gonna do is you come out here on the soccer field and you playing like trash, and we paying to travel, and because they got rec leagues for that. So it was last year we drive to Austin and we had to pay for hotel. We got to eat out. We got to do all of these things.
Let's talk about how much travel costs. Travel soccer costs.
It's expensive. Like, baby, just the fees alone for you to be on the team.
Yes. And them people don't even give you free parking. You got to pay to park when you get there.
It's expensive. Then you got to spend time with all these people because we're in a community.
Yeah.
My husband, I pulled him over to the side. You got one more last time.
That's it.
To play like this, because, I mean, he is good. You got one more. One more.
Because
and you're coming out of this league. Yeah, it takes a second. You're coming out of this league. My baby killing it.
That's it.
My baby killing it.
That's all you need to do.
The lady came up to me. She said, "Oh my God." She was like, "Y'all had that one conversation and he does his thing."
Yeah.
Because hard work still matters. Sacrifice still matters. Like, we can't forget that those are the very core of internal and external success, because if you don't raise confident children, if you don't raise kids that are self-assured in those, that's basic human development too. Like, and if you're coddling people all the time, you don't create space for people to feel hopeful, like they have the ability to thrive. Like, my baby feels good when he walks off of that field. And we don't expect him to perform at a high level every time.
Right.
But I know when you are given 20%, because you're just being lazy. And
Absolutely.
I don't have to tell him like you're lazy, but I can say, son, I don't think that you're performing at the level that you can truly perform at.
Yeah.
And I think that is intentional parenting. Gentle parenting would have been like, son, what's going on? I'm not gonna play those games. This is how you know. Like, stop playing. I don't have the patience for that.
Yeah. Same.
Like, you are trying to raise a productive citizen to become a member of society. And we already know, like, nobody's passing out trophies.
We have enough crybabies.
Nobody's passing out
trophies. We have enough people mad at the world because things aren't going their way. We have enough people. It's enough. We have enough. We need to raise some accountable beings.
Yeah.
And I think that starts with what you guys taught him. What you don't appreciate will depreciate. If you don't perform, if you don't get it, if you don't take advantage of this opportunity, if you don't appreciate, because kids, they're not considering what it takes for them to be able to participate.
Yeah.
They don't have to
see,
consider
and we
that.
didn't even do that because
You know what I mean?
I feel like for me that would be. I mean, I was thinking that in my head, but that would be me playing victim, right? Like, we chose to put you in this sport. I have no problem with it. We chose to take on the responsibilities that come with that, but you have to do your part, son.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
your part is you need to play.
Show up. You
so
show
let
up.
me be honest. My baby had just came off a flu like 3 days ago. And I forgot, like, because when I tell you that I was pissed, they wanted to go on a team dinner that night. I ain't going. I'm not going. And then I thought about it, and I went back and I apologized because I was like, son, I just.
Not me up here defending. I'm with you. And this baby just got well.
Look, my friend is a nurse, and she was like, like, he probably had some of the. I was
just
like,
recovering.
I apologize. I was like, son, but no, he had been playing trash like few other games. So
you didn't forget that part.
I did not forget that part, but I did go back and say, son,
yeah,
it probably was because you were sick, but we still expect for you to play your best, and you do. This is where you teach them to communicate, right? If you feel, because it's a team effort. If you don't feel it, tell coach, just pull me out.
Yeah.
Like, because to me, that's vulnerability. That's saying that I'm not feeling well today. Like, if you feel weak, don't go out there and, like, jeopardize the entire team.
I love you teaching him to be vulnerable, though.
Yeah.
To say, I'm not okay.
I'm not okay.
Yeah.
And I told him that would have been a more appropriate response versus feeling like you have to show up because you're on the soccer team.
Yeah.
Say that I'm not okay. You could have told us that you're not okay.
That's good. That's really good. And I like how my perspective was what it takes for them to participate, right? But you made that decision. So I like not telling you, even though you know this as an adult, you're not telling your child this so they feel like a burden.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Because I hated that as a kid. I ain't gonna lie. I hated that.
I
ain't nobody tell you to have me.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily. Yeah. One time, let me tell you, this is so funny. One time, Brady's co-parent called him and said to him that Tyler just told me, I told him what it costs and what this is and all this. I told him all of this. And Tyler told me, yeah, my mom, that's what you're supposed to do.
That part.
I said, wait, I don't know how we're supposed to handle this one. That's what that led to. So you're absolutely right. They don't understand, but they do know from birth until now that they've been your responsibility. You know what I mean? And you're ultimately the one making the decision.
Yeah.
Right? And so, yeah, I love that. You don't have to share what it takes and all the things because you don't ever want your child to feel like they're burdened. And then 2, you don't want them to look at you and say, you had me.
Yeah.
You
and I have, that's why I say like the counseling, radical acceptance and responsibility is really hard because I do feel that way sometimes, but I'm mindful enough to know that if I present too much of that, I can go back and I can apologize because I'm not trying to be a perfect parent either. I'm not trying to be a perfect parent, a perfect wife. Like I can go back and say, I messed up.
Yeah.
I messed up.
This episode is great, right, friend? I know. Join me for more episodes just like this one in my Patreon community. That's patreon.com/yourfriendtrend. I cannot wait to connect with you in real time. How do you hold space for real mental health challenges while still holding people accountable for their behavior?
Recognizing that so when we say real mental health challenges, what comes to mind for me is people that are actually diagnosed with depression, anxiety, bipolar. I've worked with people that actually, because when we say mental health challenges, everything is a mental health challenge. This conversation could be a mental health challenge, right? If you and I are in our head and like, how's this episode going to turn out? Are people going to like it? Like, That's a challenge because it's presenting something new. We haven't met each other before. Like we're just coming on here and we're talking. That's a mental health challenge. Anything that has the ability to affect how you think, feel, or function can disrupt your stability, if that makes sense, right? So I separate that. So, but if we're talking about a mental illness, you work with what you have in front of you, because I don't expect someone that has been diagnosed with depression to sit here and have a conversation with me in the manner that you're doing.
Right.
So it's really about meeting people where they are. But I'm also going to challenge you to think beyond
where you are.
Beyond where you are. With understanding that does not mean that it'll look like me. Because for people that actually live with mental illnesses, they don't want mental illness. They don't want to have a mental illness, which is why people labeling themselves today, like, it catches me off guard. I'm like, you want to be depressed, huh?
Yeah.
I mean, people actually say, I got
like
bipolar today.
They like the attention that comes with it.
And people that actually live with those things, they are really suffering in silence.
They don't even want the attention.
They don't even want the attention. They wish that they were not born
so
like...
now you're finna have me looking at everybody's side eye on this internet. It'd be like, I'm diagnosed with something. Because you know what? I know people who actually are in real life, and they do not want attention. They do not want...
Because they're really struggling. That was the thing that we were supposed to destigmatize. Destigmatize. I'm going to be careful about my language because I called something stupid before on the podcast.
Okay.
So, but I would say this. It was not smart to destigmatize mental health, right? Because we all have mental health. We don't all have a mental illness. What we were supposed to destigmatize was seeking support, struggling as a human, destigmatize mental illnesses. Because when you say mental health, right, it's like it's your machine. Your machine that controls how you think, feel, and function, right? We all have that. It's like saying, I'm going to destigmatize people having arms. Like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, when you really think about it. So those were the things that we were supposed to destigmatize. And in the process, we've overcorrected. We were just trying to say, like, you're going to struggle. And because you're going to struggle, it could impact your mental health. Illnesses, there's a lot of shame and guilt around living with an illness. We want to make people feel comfortable about seeking support. We want people to feel comfortable about seeking support after you've had a child and you don't feel like yourself anymore. You've lost a job, like there's someone that you can talk to. That's what we're there for. I always tell people, like, the goal of mental health professionals, we are not experts in mental health. That means that I should know how everybody in this room should be thinking, feeling, and functioning at all times. And you don't. Like, the goal of a mental health professional is to support you as you navigate transitory issues that have the ability to plague your mental health. So when you say I'm from Mississippi and you moved to Atlanta, a therapist should be thinking,
I ain't moved to Atlanta.
You still in Mississippi?
I'm still in Mississippi. Don't put me over here. I just came for a good time, not a long time. I'm going home tomorrow.
You're going home tomorrow?
Going home tomorrow. Yep.
So I'll use this. You coming from Mississippi to Atlanta with this beautiful setup, that's a transition happening because it's a change. You're uprooting, you left the baby. I don't know if you left the baby, but the baby's not here, right? That has the ability to impact your mental health because in essence, what you're doing is you're a career woman. Like, this is your career. You leave home to come to another state. You are no longer with your child. Like, a mental health professional should be thinking, I want to really check on Trinity to see how she's navigating this. She really believes in this, but she's a new mom. Like, that's how I would be thinking about you. Like, how are these changes and transitions impacting you? Because those are mental health struggles. But when you speak about it from that perspective, it allows you to normalize life happening so that you don't start to internalize everything and you can externalize it because it's like, this is expected. I expect her to be questioning if this is the right thing to do, if I should be taking more time off to spend with the baby, or is this the right decision to come to Atlanta, or should I have people come to Mississippi? Like, those are all, no, I don't know that I'm just giving examples, but that's how we should be thinking as professionals. Like, not like, okay, you just had a baby and she got PTSD already. Like, because you don't know.
Right.
You need to allow people to tell you what they're actually struggling with.
That's good.
What we tend to do is we assume because you're a woman and now you're a mom that life is all of a sudden hard for you. There are some women that really lean into motherhood, like, and they absolutely love it. And you have to be mindful about not victimizing people either in our role, because people see us as the experts.
That's good. That's so good. How do you think social media has contributed to both the rise and misuse of mental health awareness?
I don't want to blame social media, right? Because I don't think that social media is going anywhere. Social media is something that we have to learn to live with, and understanding that you're going to have whatever good content is and bad content is, but you need to know how to think for yourself.
Absolutely.
I'm not in the business of like saying that, social media is bad. Like, that's how we've connected at this point, right? From social media. I mean, we got people saying that they don't like your content, they don't like my content. Like, that's a part of the process. So I think that we give too much weight to social media because we don't realize that we have choice. You decide if you want to put that app on your phone. You decide how much you want to engage with it. You get to decide who you follow. Like, you get to decide what you want to show up in your feed based off of what you look at. So I try to steer away from blame all the time. Like, blame is so easy. Like, and the world is only going to continue to advance. And because it is, you're going to always have something to blame.
Yeah.
Like, I can understand people saying like social media is a lot for me because I get on there and I see like other people's lives, and I want like those things are normal because again, it's something else that's introduced in your environment and you're having to learn to navigate it. So when you say like, what's been the impact? I think that the impact is no different from when you and I got internet as kids. Like, it was new. And you got to learn. Yeah.
MySpace. I can go stay a little bow wow. MySpace.
Exactly. So to me, social media is no different from that. We learned to navigate that. Your parents learned to navigate that. Like, you sneaking all night on MySpace, changing your page. Like, yes, it has some impact, but we still have choice in all of these things. Like, the world is not going to stop evolving because we choose not to.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So good. How do we begin to re-educate ourselves and the culture around what true mental health looks like?
I think just being open, right? Like, I'm not looking for anybody to just switch and turn off tomorrow. And I think that that's the misconception that people have of me. Like, if you feel like you're in a season that you really need to protect your peace and protect your mental health, by all means, do what you need to do. I'm just saying, be open. Don't shut yourself down to information that could elevate you as a person in general.
Yeah. What's one myth about mental health that you want to debunk?
That you need to nurture it like this. It's like it's glass. Like, you don't need to like protect it. Like, your mental health is not fragile. It doesn't stay in a static state. It's dynamic. It has the ability to shift with you if you're open.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest myth about mental health. Like, you want to be flexible, you want to be adaptable. And all of these things are so important. Now, I was thinking of my grandmother the other day. My grandmother, I mean, you just couldn't sit her down. And then at some point, she's just getting older, she wanted to sit down, and she wasn't exposed to the things that she was originally exposed to, and then she ends up with dementia. But there's a lot of research that talks about when you don't have those cognitive exposures, it's like if you don't use it, you lose it. Dementia leads to that. So if you're all about no new friends, staying in a circle, you have to remember that you're not being challenged or stretched anymore because there's a level of comfort. Those things lead to dementia. That's why I say, like, give yourself the best shot that you can at life. And the way that you give yourself the best shot at life is being open to things that don't resonate sometimes, that may feel uncomfortable to you. I'm not saying that you have to, you can chew on anything before you decide to swallow it.
Right.
That's with any information, right?
That's
Chew
good.
on it. You don't have to swallow it.
That's good. Just give it a taste.
Yeah, just a little taste.
Yeah.
That's it. You don't have to accept anything, but know that neuroplasticity is a real thing. Like, you need challenges. I'm not saying stay in toxic environments, because I don't. I'm gonna do it on your podcast since it's here, and I haven't had.
Absolutely.
They're like, so are you telling us to stay in abusive situation?
No.
Why would I say that? Like, no, I wouldn't tell you to stay in an abusive situation, but if you're telling me that your husband or your friend is saying that you could be a better friend, that doesn't mean that it's toxic. Doesn't mean that it's toxic.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that that's abuse.
Yes.
It means that you might not be willing to listen to anything outside of your current ways of thinking.
Good people listen too. I think good friends listen. Good siblings listen. Good parents listen. A lot of people, we're trying to respond, we're trying to do a lot of talking, but if you really want to have healthy relationships, you have got to learn the art of listening. You've got to be okay with being the last one who speaks. And sometimes we're so focused on being heard that
That's why I say it's toxic.
it's toxic. You're so focused on being heard that you cannot, you want to get your point across so bad that you never get your love across. You can never get your need for connection across. And that's because we don't listen. And my response could just be totally different if I would just listen to everything that Raquel has to say to me. If I could just listen to everything that my husband has to say to me before I start to respond. And that's hard. That's really it's difficult. It's really difficult. But I think it would be such a game changer for us if we would just listen to people. Listen to what they're saying.
The challenge with that, so when we think about how we develop cognitively, it's really hard to listen to what people are saying, because prematurely we are wired to listen for the reward and or the consequence. So if you start talking, I don't hear like an advantage to it, and if it feels like a consequence, it's easy to shut down. When you trust yourself, you're in alignment with who you are as a person, you no longer have to scan for an advantage and or consequences, because I can receive whatever it is that you're saying and trust that I can navigate whatever's in front of me.
Yeah, for sure. What does real emotional maturity look like, and how can we start moving toward it?
Oh, gosh. Real emotional maturity is when you realize that the world does not revolve around you. I would say that's the first thing. It is being able to use your emotions in a way that helps you understand other people. It is being able to sit with a level of discomfort, like hard or difficult feelings, without having to rush and fix them. Like, it's just like, this is normal, like allowing it to pass through. It is also knowing that sometimes you may not always get the space to sit with your difficult emotions, and you still need to present yourself in a certain manner. It is I would say that that's what it is. It's creating balance between emotional maturity and then mental maturity, because that's how I look at capacity. So when I think emotional capacity is your emotional awareness, right? It's being emotionally intelligent. When I say emotionally intelligent, it's not that I'm going to appear calm because I want people to think that I am okay. Because if internally you're feeling conflict, you're not emotionally regulated, really, right? It's resilience, and I always tell people resilience is about recovery time, right? So if I give you difficult feedback, one day, and then the next time you're preparing yourself for difficult feedback. The first time I gave it to you, you sat on it for a week.
Mm-hmm.
I would hope that the next time is like, okay, I don't need 7 days to sit on it. I sat on it for 2 days or 3 days. Like, you start to realize that your recovery time to certain situations decrease. And then the other part is openness. And then the mental component of it is your ability to problem solve, your ability to still be creative, your ability to innovate or create new things, and being okay with a level of complexity. So I look at capacity from two dimensions, the emotional component of it and the mental component, and they both have to go hand in hand in order for you to be emotionally intelligent. Because if you and I are having a disagreement right now and your problem solving skills are weak,
yeah,
the emotional maturity won't be there. So I think it's more of a holistic package. And I think that that's what people have done. We've doubled down on the emotional component of it, and the mental component is not being stretched and or challenged. And they go hand in hand.
Yeah, they do. They do. They
They do.
definitely do go hand in hand. I want to talk to you before we go
Okay.
about generational mental health with the generations. I think our parents, how old are you?
37.
I'm 34. I think our parents think we're just too sensitive. Okay, they think we're too sensitive. And I think we think Generation Z is too sensitive. What is something that we need to gravitate toward in terms of mental health to be a benefit to the generation before us and the generation behind us?
I would say that nobody is wrong, right? Because everybody's reading this sensitivity from their lenses and the way that they approach life in the world. I think that there's value in listening to our parents, because I don't think that they're saying that we're too sensitive. They're trying to remind us that life is hard and the world does not revolve around you. And I think that our parents, what we're trying to convey to our parents is that in order for me to lean into life completely and become the person that you expect me to be, I have to create space for my emotions and how I feel, because that's how I'm going to become better than what you were, right? Because that's the goal.
Right.
And I think that this younger generation child, like, it's, oh my gosh.
They different.
Because I got nieces and they tell me, they're like, but auntie, you just don't understand. Like, it's so hard. We have this and y'all didn't have this. I'm like, well, it should be normal to you then, right? Like, this is your life.
Yeah.
I think that so I'm the auntie that my nieces will call. So I'm thinking about the things that I say to them. I do acknowledge more than anything. Like, it is different. Like, if you got into a fight, the only people that knew you got beat up,
It's so true.
are the people that were there. And then, people can go and say, but you can be like, no, like, I slipped, I fell off the curb, because nobody saw it. Now you get into a fight, it's video recorded. So I do acknowledge that the level of privacy and just like the level of engagement that they have with the internet, I do think it makes it a little bit more challenging for them, but I also don't think that it's the end of the world. And like, again, life is only going to continue to evolve. So I think that for the younger generation, acknowledgement and validating is very important, because if we don't, we become our parents too. So you have to find a balance with it.
Yeah. What is your advice to the person who may be considering going to seek help, but they're unsure, maybe embarrassed, and it's just a bit of chaotic around that. You know what I mean? They don't want to be seen as crazy.
That's normal. And I think it's good that you don't want to be seen as crazy, because, again, going back to the labels, most people don't want to have labels, and that's what the stigma is around. It's normal to feel nervous and to be hesitant, because, again, remember I was telling you in the beginning, most people are thinking about the rewards and consequences. Is this going to be a waste of my time, and or am I really going to get some value out of this? And I think that is normal. I would say still lean in. I think the most important thing is knowing that you are the driver in your life. Just because I or other professionals hold the title, you need to know what you want out of that. You need to know what your goals are. And if you know what your goals are, that person should support you around what that is. And the goals can't be vague in the sense, I just want to heal. Because if you just want to heal, you're going to probably talk about things that you don't feel like add value. So know what your goal is. If your goal is, I want to become more emotionally mature. I want to be able to problem solve better. I want to become the person that does not crumble when life gets hard. Like, you need to really clarify what your goals are. That way you do feel a sense of control and autonomy, and you don't feel like somebody's getting ready to come down and try and psychoanalyze you and then give you that title of you're crazy.
Yeah. You spoke earlier on about how spirituality and mental health go hand in hand. How do you believe your spiritual beliefs have impacted your mental health awareness?
It's everything. It's everything. It's how I hear. I hear from a spiritual place before I hear from my education. It's how it's how I hear. Like, I don't know how to hear beyond that, which is why when I hear protect your peace and protect your mental health, I default to the spiritual piece of it, because it absolutely makes no sense. And then it gives me comfort when I realize that ain't what mental health is anyway.
Yeah.
So it aligns.
Okay, so I'm a church girl. And in the church, we don't talk about no mental health. We rebuke the devil. And then it's really just like within the last 5 years that people have actually, like believers in the church, have actually started to acknowledge mental health awareness. You know what I mean? What is your advice, or what are your thoughts on us rebuking the devil instead of actually addressing what needs to be addressed?
I think that it bypasses that life is hard and that God put people on this earth to be able to support us when we lose sight of things. So I think that rebuking the devil is like default, like, and that's another way that we suppress our emotions, right? Because
we don't need no therapist. I got Jesus.
Got Jesus, and I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. Like,
Yeah,
so I think it's a default, and it's the easiest way to suppress your emotions because you don't feel like you need any support. So again, like, have all of the things. That's part of having good mental health, is when you can build a community, whether it's the church folks, your friends, listening to podcasts, seeking therapy. Like, do all of the things. Do all of the things.
Yeah, yeah. If people walk away from this conversation with one challenge, one mirror moment, what do you want it to be?
Life is not inherently hard. And if you truly feel that life, and let me look in this camera, okay? And if you truly feel that life is inherently hard, you probably really want to consider how you navigate it and the tools and skills that you haven't necessarily developed yet, because life isn't inherently hard. It's the way that we approach it.
That's good stuff. Thank you for coming
You're
to Friend
welcome.
Fusion. I'm so grateful for you. Can we do it again?
Yeah.
And again, again.
Again.
Good, because I feel like we will.
I'm coming to Mississippi, though.
That's what I'm saying. I be trying to tell everybody to
coming to
come to Mississippi.
Mississippi.
Yes. What you want when you get there? What you want to eat?
Okay, whatever y'all got.
Okay, big.
Maybe I need to go to the gym with you, though.
Okay,
That's
we can
what
do that.
I
We can
need
do
to
whatever you want. I be trying to tell my people, come to Mississippi.
Mississippi.
It'd be a good time to just take a break.
Yes.
And I had this random thought the other day I'll share with you. And you know what? It wasn't a random thought. The Holy Spirit gave me this thought. And I wrote it down. It says that rest will not prevent you from being successful. And a lot of times we don't want to like steal away. We don't want to take a break. We don't want to chill. But it's really not going to keep you. And if anything, it's going to recharge you. And I think Mississippi is a great recharge. So you should come.
I don't mind coming to Mississippi.
And everybody else watching, you need to come to Mississippi. We got catfish. We got horses. We got lots of guns, lots of land to shoot the guns. What else we got? Racism. But listen. Stay focused. You will have a blast, friend. I really hope you have enjoyed this episode of Friend Fusion. I know that it was so fruitful. I feel so blessed to sit with Raquel today because the moment that I saw her, I thought, God. Seriously, I thought God. This is like, I'm being so honest. That's what I thought. I see God, I feel God, and there was no spirituality being mentioned. But as my friend Sean said to me, she said she speaks from the Creator's heart. And I'm so grateful to have you to speak from the Creator's heart.
Thank you.
Thank you for showing up. Thank you for being present. Thank you for being a voice for us to take charge, to heal, to grow, to evolve, and to see our lives change for the better.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Friends, whatever you do this week, life is not that hard. Stop. It's not. It just
feels hard.
It feels hard. And just because it doesn't feel good doesn't mean it's not good for you. Now, I love you. I hope that this week is better than all the other weeks you've had this year. And I hope that you will go and follow my friend Raquel. And I hope that you feel empowered to thrive because that's what you're here to do. I love you, friend. I'll see you back on the next episode of Friend Fusion.
Ooh.